Hi Leo, Sun, Moon and Rising. Welcome to Ethernal Realms and welcome to your November eclipse reading. This one is taking place in Taurus, which would be in your 10th house, and there are some changes in your career and public status that are taking place. And there also was a solar eclipse in Scorpio on the 25th of October, which was right opposite this house in your 4th house. So for quite some time now, there has been quite a lot going on in your career and home sector, in your family life, in your private life, in your public sphere, and so on. So let's see how this eclipse here plays out for the coming 6 months, because that's how long it generally takes to show its full results. Okay, so we have the Queen of Pentacles coming up first, which, well, quite honestly talks about the home and family. It can connect with the mother figure as well. It is your feeling of peace, bliss, contentment, belonging, and so on. I really love the autumn look to it, because it says that, which signifies the time that we're in, first of all, especially if you're in the northern hemisphere, but it also talks about how you're shedding all that is not necessary for you, all that is kind of extra, or the work that is completed. You're letting go of things so that you can come back home to what is really important. So this can indicate that you're dealing with things outside of your home, and there's quite a bit going on, but then you're also recognizing the need for a good home, or maintaining a very good space around you while you go through all of this busyness. So again, you might be decluttering your space, you are bringing some things that are more resonant with you. Things like that can come up here. It is also very good for business and creative, not creative, but business, career, and financial aspects. Also creativity, but something to do with crafts and putting your hands to the ground, something like that. Very handy and physical. Okay, then we have the Hanged Man, which is kind of distancing yourself and seeing things from a different perspective. It has a level of surrender and objectivity to it. You are not too close to your problem, so you're able to see what exactly you need to do in a given situation in order to make the most out of it. It is also about stepping outside of yourself and noticing things from a completely different perspective. So the same situation you might be going through, but you're seeing it in a new light. There can also be a pause of something. You might be letting go of certain responsibilities in the home, for example. If you're renovating, then you're done with the renovation, so you have some more time to yourself, and you're using that space to really think about things. But it is also kind of changing the ways that you connect. What values do you associate with in the workplace or in life in general? What are you orienting yourself towards? What are your goals, and why do they mean something to you? Things like that. It's bigger questions, and it asks for a deeper answer when we have the Hanged One. On the other level, it can also talk about taking breaks. You're taking some time off to consider things, contemplate on things, sleep on something before making a big decision. You're taking a more level-headed approach. You're more mindful of the consequences of things, or you're just mindful in general because you want to practice a level of presence and consciousness as well. Even the Queen of Pentacles here is about just being in the present moment for some time. You're just breathing and relaxing and feeling the ground, sort of. That's all you're doing. It's very nice, because I imagine that it could have been quite a hectic time for you when we have the public sphere. So it's reassuring that you're feeling more grounded moving this point on. We have the Fool here. This is so interesting. This is the beginning of completely something new. So you could have found a home and now you're a homeowner instead of renting a home or something. This is also embarking upon new career ventures and exploring new horizons, a new way of earning money perhaps, and you're changing your occupation. So now, let's say you're not a banker anymore and you're a physiotherapist, for example. Wild guesses, I suppose, but hey, anything can happen. Especially when we get the Fool here, anything can happen, kind of goes. Anything that sets your heart on fire, makes you feel very passionate, and pulls you towards something greater than yourself. That's the Fool here. Such that fear does not even hold you back. You are compelled to move forward on faith, because that calling is just extremely loud and clear. Wow, really strong. for you guys. And this is also having a more open-minded, open-hearted approach to things. You're open to receiving, you're open to giving, and all of that. There's no blockages. There is, of course, some sort of anxiety about how things would work out down the line, but you're not letting that hold you back in any way. You are definitely taking a moment to consider the consequences and all of that, which is just a wise decision to make when you want to do something totally new. But apart from that, it's not a problem. There can be new opportunities that are coming towards you, and you feel compelled to move in that direction. You're kind of looking at your experiences from a different perspective. You're getting new information and knowledge, recognition of certain patterns that have been occurring. So you're able to see your problems from a bigger picture point of view, and that allows you to have a completely new beginning in your life. Because the 4th and the 10th house are very pivotal axes in our life. The 1st, 7th, 4th, and 10th. These are huge chapters in life, right? And it can't really be explained to anyone. Like, any way that I phrase this is going to be very shallow, I suppose. But when you are the one going through it, it's just a completely different thing, right? That's what I'm getting here. It's a whole new thing. It's hard to explain, really, especially when we have the Hanged Man here as well. It's hard to explain. It's a feeling, it's a knowing, it's a perspective, a perception. How do you explain that, right? Yeah, very beautiful, very strong. We have study coming up next, so you could be learning something, or you want to go and learn something again. You want to become a student again. Some of you might be wanting that for sure. There can be some new beginnings in the home as well for you, because we have the Queen of Pentacles there, some new resources coming through. It can also talk about you finding a renewal in your inner sense of being, and you have this deep realization that perhaps you want to be someone else or do something else. And it can also be that you want to work from home, and you're just calling back your energy from the workspace so you can focus more on your sense of belonging, peace, and bliss as well. So studying from home, gathering resources from home, that's totally possible. Through this eclipse specifically, there could be new information that is coming through, and you need to know more about it before you delve into the completely new direction, of course. So you're doing that study work a little bit, but all in all, it's like you learn new information and you take actions accordingly. Okay, then we have journey. Yeah, so this can talk about, again, taking a vacation, going somewhere else, and that journey is quite profound for you. But 6 months from now, it would be like, it would feel for you like it has been quite a bit of a journey for quite some time. And it has led to many pivotal and profound changes within you. And the person you are now is not the same person a year ago. That is true for everyone, but you can definitely pinpoint this year and all of this year specifically. And by the end of it, by January, February, let's say, you're like, okay, that was a lot. Like, a lot happened. I'm grateful for all the things that I learned. It was all full of experience, basically. I feel like you're not attaching too much of personal problems or emotion to it. You're not thinking, oh, that was a bad experience or a good experience. You're more likely to say that was such an experience. It's about the journey itself. There was a mix of everything, and you learned a lot of things, and you're just marveling at how much can happen in such a time, basically. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Then we have overrate your intuition. This corresponds to the High Priestess energy, and yeah, there's so much about getting very private and deep and delving into your intuition, listening to the very subtle voice, and for that you need to tune in. You need to come home, you need to introspect more, right, for all of this to get activated. But it looks like you're doing that, and you're able to sense what would be a better choice, because you just feel it, you just know it, you understand it, you kind of see that this would lead down a very good path. So you're believing in that intuition, and you don't need further proof to make a certain choice here. Very strong. You can be connecting more with your soul as well. And no wonder I was getting that kind of purposeful type of vibe, the calling and stuff that I said. I would normally say that if I got the Judgment card, but somehow with the Fool here, I was like, why would you go for that new journey unless it calls to you, calls to some part of you, right? So yeah, that's very interesting. It feels like you have a much better idea of your purpose and how you can find a very good sense of fulfillment for yourself and for the people that you care about. Yeah, getting a lot more spiritual here, okay? Then we have befriend the word polarize. You're mixing opposition. You don't find the home and the work environment in odds anymore. It is flowing along very harmoniously, I would say. You understand the different sides of a story. You consider both sides of a story before you get into anything. There's no, making decisions without considering all of the possibilities or the consequences that one decision can make. So you're taking into account many different stories, even the unpleasant ones, not just acting on pure optimism. Intuition is basically the recognition of both sides of things, but you're just not attached to any one thing, so you can rely on that intuition then. So yeah, befriend the word polarize is gathering enough info and utilizing that information to make an informed choice. And you're respecting opposition as well. If you get criticism, then you're taking that in stride, and because you're doing that, you're up-leveling so far, so fast. No joke, because Queen of Pentacles is like, okay, I see, yes, that was not a very good choice. Yes, I understand your complaint. I'm going to deal with it. Okay, and then she deals with it, and guess what? Her product gets better. The people then resonate with her a lot more, and so on. She takes it into stride, and she's like, no hard feelings, fine. We're all a work in progress. There you go. Even the Fool here is like not afraid of what could go wrong. It acknowledges that there are some things that it does not know, but that unknown does not mean that you need to be afraid of everything, right? So yeah, it's an all-rounder, very strong thing. Generally, I would say it's the mind, body, and emotions, but I feel like for you, it is more inside out. Quite literally because of your nodal axis, but in the cards as well, I'm getting that you're radiating something from the inside out. You're knowing from the inside out. You don't need proof from the outside. Wow, okay. Then we have my fearless freedom lights up the world. Yeah, you're doing what would liberate you. And Saturn is part of this eclipse as well. It is in Aquarius. So what is restricting your freedom? That has been a topic too, wanting to break free but not being able to. There are some reckless changes happening in some other area of life. And we're like, yeah, but I want to hold on to the existing structures and conditioning. Meanwhile, Uranus is like, no, we're not going to do that. So that's why there has been this Saturn-Uranus tug of war since, again, quite some time, the end of 2020. So in this eclipse as well, it's kind of closing things out, and it's like, okay, this is how you liberate yourself. Now I get it. Now I know how to be free. It's sort of that time here. So it's generally a very contemplative energy for many of us. Not surprising here, but yours, again, this is exactly what I was saying. You're emitting from inside out. You're not asking from outside. You're not seeking in. You're like, I'm enough. I know I'm enough. My fearless freedom lights up the world. Very nice affirmation. I don't get this very often, by the way. Then we also have, thank you, universe, for helping me see beyond the limits of fear. There you go. Thank you for expanding my perceptions. Again, the Fool, that broadening the horizon so that I can see what is of the highest good. So you're able to see the bad and the good, the pros and the cons, and it's not like, oh, this is a bad thing, therefore I will not do it. You're not attached to it. I can't emphasize this because the Hanged Man is really like detached. It's like, it is how it is. Are you going to observe and understand it and then flow with it? Or are we going to keep letting that happen and, falling over again and again? Walling something off is also not going to help, because then you acknowledge that something is unpleasant and you're trying to suppress it. If you suppress something, it is bound to come back out. But this here looks like there is a very primordial change here in you, where you're not afraid of fear anymore. You're okay with what comes because you are trusting in your capability to deal with what comes. You're like, okay, so I'm gonna learn it, you know, so what? It's a new place, right? We have plenty of new places. Like we can keep on exploring the entire world. There's just so much to see and so much to experience that honestly we would never stop learning, right? So any new experience that happens, there is something or the other to help you get through that path, right? There can be someone, something, some place, some mindset, right? So you're not afraid of anything new. You're welcoming anything new, but you're not rushing towards it in the quest of adventure either. It's a very well balanced way of being. Wow, very impressive. Okay, so let's see, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. By the way, I've made zodiac specific readings for Leo for the month of November and also the October eclipse. So if you want to check that out, it'll give you a more wholesome understanding of how this is playing and what would happen before that, how the entire month looks given all the other influences as well. Because this is not an isolated incident, right? So it can just give you more side stories to understand. If you're interested, you can check it out. Leo, November eclipse in Taurus. We have the 9th house, we have Saturn, and we have Aries. Yeah, that's Saturn again, right? So your sense of autonomy is coming to focus. You're taking more responsibility, power in your hand, taking a traditional course, again, going somewhere abroad for higher education, therefore retreating from your current public image, for example, or your public status. You're going back from, let's say, teacher to student or something. That can be possible. Saturn and 9th house is also religious, and it's very traditional in its approach towards spirituality. So it does not have to be religious necessarily, but it can be for sure. But it can also be like following a correct step to achieving ascension in life. So if you're doing Reiki, for example, you would go from how do you clear the space, or I don't know, okay, I've not done Reiki, but I would imagine that you would want to purify the space first. You would want to meditate and connect with energies first, because we're not constantly in tune with them, and doing some mindfulness exercises, connecting with the client, whatever, you know, there are many steps to follow. So you might do that in a very systematic manner, but you're taking that matter into your own hands. You're doing this by yourself, of your own volition, and therefore you have a lot of power in your hands. If you have been studying something, then you are finishing, and again, that graduation energy that is going to impact the way you live. Perhaps you move out from your roommates and you get a house by yourself, something like that, you know. Okay, but either way, you're moving out from restrictions. You're also respecting certain limitations, boundaries, and restrictions here. Because everything limitless can be a little bit overwhelming as well. Perhaps you have selected certain universities and you're like, if I get into those places, only then I'm going to study. You know, that type of vibe where you're limiting the choice, but it can work out. Honestly, if that's what you're looking for, and it really speaks to you, if that's the calling that we're talking about, then it can work out here. But yeah, you're definitely bold and courageous. That fearlessness is associated with Aries there. Not afraid to delve into philosophies, examine your belief systems, form new conditionings here, venture abroad, all of those things, really wonderful things. So some new adventures are definitely waiting, but they are a lot more than, you know, just for the rush of traveling. Okay. So very rich, very intuitive. I love it for you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Like and subscribe the video if you enjoyed it. If you want a personal reading, you can connect with me via Etsy. The link is in the description box in the comment below. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye.